lot of the 60th anniversary and beyond seems to be the series is trying its best to harken back to what they consider to be the golden era of modern Doctor Who, which would be David Tennant, the most popular Doctor of that era, and you get Donna Noble, the most popular companion, or one of the most beloved companions. Rose is also up there, I'm sure, and Martha is great. I love Martha. I mean, they were all great companions, but you're harking back to the fourth series, which many people consider to be the best series of modern Doctor Who. After that, David Tennant regeneration, and you're getting Ncuti, you're also getting a companion that is extremely reminiscent of the first modern era companion, Rose Tyler, who was both the Ninth Doctor Christopher Eccleston's companion and the 10th Doctor David Tennant's companion, and she returned and played a major role in the fourth series with Donna Noble. So I don't think any of that's accidental. Ruby Sunday is going to be played by Millie Gibson. She's most famous for being from Coronation Street. She's 18 years old. She's a very young actress. She is very Rose-esque. She looks a lot like the character Rose, just in you just got the blonde hair. She's young, teenager. Rose was supposed to be a teenager. She'll be appearing in the Christmas special, I believe. She's going to be Ncuti Gatwa's full-time companion, but that's a little down the road, and then I'm mostly focusing on the 60th anniversary of this video. So I'll make a second video that focuses more on the Christmas special as we learn more about that. These specials will be the beginning of the new RTD2, or Russel T Davies 2.0, returned to the series as the showrunner. He was previously the showrunner at the start of Modern Doctor Who. He launched the series back in 2005 and wrote the story arcs and many of the episodes of the Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant era of the series. He's also written all of the upcoming 60th anniversary specials and the holiday special. Many people consider him to be the best showrunner of the modern series. I personally also fall into that camp, I would say. I think that all three of the showrunners of the modern series, Russel T Davies, Stephen Moffat, and Chris Chibnall, have all had their varying strengths and weaknesses. But I would say overall, Russel T Davies was the best at writing character and emotional arcs, which I personally find to be the most engaging and important when following a work of fiction. His sci-fi stories were also pretty cool, and he has a very liberal, progressive, left-leaning political stance that he wears on his sleeve and often folds into the stories that he writes, but gives a sci-fi twist on it and provides insightful and interesting commentary, hitting you over the head with his ideas, unlike some writers the series has had. Murray Gold, the music composer for the first 10 seasons of Modern Doctor Who, is also returning along with Russel T Davies. So the show will have a very familiar vibe. He's known for his large, bombastic orchestral arrangements and a lot of very well-known and catchy and beloved tunes. I think he's composed some truly beautiful and amazing themes throughout the series' history. I think he also, at times, tends to lean a bit too heavily on the bombast and can, on occasion, drown out the dialogue of a scene on occasion. Of course, that's probably a mixing thing as well. A mixing issue the show has always had. But nevertheless, I think he's a welcome return. I'm excited to hear what new stuff he has in store for the 60th anniversary and Ncuti Gatwa's era and beyond. So overall, even though I feel like the show is very much in returning to what worked in the past mode as opposed to moving forward and trying something new, which is what I think has been the lifeblood of the series for so long, I can't deny that I am cautiously optimistic that the show is in the right hands right now, especially since Russel T Davies seems so passionate and enthusiastic about writing the show again and expanding it and making it bigger and more popular. I think these are all good signs. Here, my thoughts in general about where they've decided to take the story, specifically the biggest thing, reverting back to an old face, having the 13th Doctor regenerate, clothes and all, into David Tennant, the most popular Doctor of the modern era. And I'm of two minds about it. On the one hand, I get it. I think I don't think it's Jodie Whittaker's fault. I think it's more, honestly, Chris Chibnall's fault and his mediocre writing. Sorry, Chris Chibnall. But I do see how Doctor Who was just going down and down and down in popularity, and they were getting lower and lower ratings, less and less viewership. And the show has been canceled once before and has always been on danger of being on the chopping block. Just not another set of hands picking it up and bringing it into the next era And I felt like Doctor Who has never been closer to that than it has been in the past few years, but with the pandemic combined with the overall tepid response to the Chibnall era. So I can see how they wanted to just give it that injection of nostalgia and try to pull back in those old fans. Not just those old fans, but pull in new viewers who are going to recognize David Tennant and recognize these elements and be like, oh, I remember that 2006, 2008 era when everyone was going crazy about Doctor Who, and it was that guy. Oh, they're bringing that back. Okay, interesting. I can see the logic behind this. They're going on Disney Plus. They're doing this worldwide premiere.
Worldwide premiere!
And they want to go with a bang. And it's the 60th anniversary, so it makes sense to bring back Doctors. But in the past, they've never brought back a Doctor quite like this. They've had specials, you know, the 3 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, the 2 Doctors, Twice Upon a Time, The Power of the Doctor, where they've had older, you know, past actors, past regenerations returning to the fold to have one more adventure with future incarnations of themselves. And it makes sense because they're time travel, so their timelines can intersect and crisscross, right? But they were always still, it was still understood that they were coming from their timeline, from their era, and this was just like an adventure in the middle of that era. They even make sure in the 50th anniversary, it's David Tennant going on a little adventure that he offhandedly mentioned he had gone on in one of his final stories.
Elizabeth, will you marry me? Got married! That was a mistake. Good Queen Bess.
So you see exactly where it slots into his timeline. They've never done this where a Doctor has regenerated into an actor who played the Doctor in the past. They've even had Secret Doctor, Secret Regenerations, John Hurt's The War Doctor, The Fugitive Doctor, played by Joe Martin, who were both great and interesting performances, but even that didn't do what this is doing. And this just, I don't know. It feels a little weird. It feels a little gimmicky. It feels a little desperate, and it also feels like it's a bit of a disservice to both Jodie Whittaker and Ncuti Gatwa. It leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth because it's like you have your first female Doctor ever, and she's going to be followed as far as a main series by the first Black Doctor ever. I mean, Joe Martin's the first Black Doctor, but as far as a Doctor who has an entire series, who's the main character, not a secondary character, it's the first time we're going to have a Black actor playing the Doctor. And wedged right in between these two historic glass ceiling breaking performances, you've wedged an old popular Doctor. As much as I love David Tennant and I'm excited to see him coming back, I'm excited to see him reuniting with Donna, I like all of those elements. And I don't like how he regenerated with his clothing. Like, that was very weird. That just felt strange to me. Like, why did you do that? And Russel T Davies gave a very weird explanation. Like, oh, we don't want people like showing pictures of him in women's clothing. That outfit was like gender neutral, yo. And the Master himself was wearing that exact same outfit in the story. So, but I digress. I'm excited about his return. I'm excited about the 60th anniversary specials. I'm excited about him reuniting with Donna. All that's cool. I just wish that he was just coming back as the 10th Doctor and having an adventure with the new Doctor, with Ncuti Gatwa. I wish Jodie Whittaker had just regenerated into Ncuti Gatwa. I think it's fine if Ncuti Gatwa would have had 3 specials where it was a big 60th anniversary event and he's fighting the Toymaker and he's having assistance from the 10th Doctor or whatever. I don't know, like, or something else could have happened. I don't know, but this just feels odd and feels like a bit of a disservice, and it feels like a bit of a cowardly move to placate people who are uncomfortable and don't like that there's a female Doctor and don't like that there's a Black Doctor and want to have the good old days when it was like a white British guy like it always is. Or it also feels like a desperate, calculated move to try to like win viewers back. And it also feels like a weird, cynical move to just try to start off the Disney Plus era with a big bang, with something very popular and familiar and member berries-ish, which is so much of what Disney Plus has become that it just feels a little too similar to that. Yeah, that being said, I'm excited about this seeing these anyway, because I love Doctor Who and I do want it to survive and flourish and be great and last forever and be the longest running television series in the history of television series. I don't want it to ever die. I think it's a type of series that can eternally generate and regenerate into something new and fresh and different. And it can eternally generate cool, fun, exciting sci-fi stories. So, if this is what they had to do to keep it around, then I guess so be it. But from just a straight up storytelling standpoint, it feels a little odd. Let's talk a little bit about the move to Disney Plus. Again, I have very mixed feelings about this. On the one hand, like I said, I want Doctor Who to survive and last forever. And I do feel like it's the type of series that has never quite gotten its due on an international or global scale. I know there's fans, in all these different countries all over the place. And there's Doctor Who conventions here in America and stuff. It's been around for a very, very long time. Like, what more do you want, right? But I do feel like it's the type of story that is good enough and big enough and exciting enough that it should be something that is as well known and talked about as, say, the Marvel universe or something. I think it's cooler than that personally. I think the Doctor Who universe is way cooler than the Marvel universe. Sorry, MCU fans, have probably just made a bunch of enemies. I really like the MCU up through Endgame, and then a few like Guardians 3. Like, don't get me wrong, that was a really cool thing that happened, but I think Doctor Who is cooler because it's this gigantic universe where so many different stories and so many different cool sci-fi concepts and so many different styles have come and gone, and it's covered all these different eras, and it's all on screen there. You have amazing styles from the 60s to the modern era, and all these different actors that played the Doctor. And I think it's something that really should get a bigger, more global recognition, if for nothing else, so that it lasts forever, so it lasts longer, so it's not relying so much on just like a hardcore dedicated fan base, so that it can last forever because it has a mainstream appeal, and it has tens of millions of people watching it rather than the 6 to 8 million or 3 million or whatever that they've been watching over the past decade or so. I want it to be big, I want it to be popular, I want it to be unconquerable so that it never gets canceled and it's always around. So moving into Disney Plus is really good for that. And it gets a bigger budget. It's never a bad thing for a sci-fi franchise to have more money because sci-fi is so expensive to produce. And I want to see what like top tier Hollywood level Doctor Who looks like. I mean, not the modern series has gotten like better and better and better and more cinematic and more filmic and had better and cooler CGI and special effects and props throughout its run. I do want to see what Doctor Who looks like with Disney money, not gonna lie. The fears I have are that it's going to lose its identity, and Disney, which is notorious for taking giant IPs and running them into the ground, is going to take this IP and run it into the ground. Do the same thing they did to Star Wars and the MCU, which is where you had a really amazing thing that had kind of organically built up over time and become this massive thing that was popular, but it had a lot of heart and soul and sweat and blood and tears of the creators in there, like really taking care to make the story good and to make the world feel like real and lived in and make the character arcs all make sense and be deep and human and emotional and meaningful and have great finales and everything. And then they just turn those both into like content slot machines. Not slot machines, slop machines is what I just said there. Just churning out like an endless deluge of slop, of hastily, sloppily thrown together shows and movies, just a nonstop churn of content. And you can see it. The MCU shows and films have continued to decline in quality as they just produce more and more of them, and the writers and the directors and especially the VFX people are stretched thin beyond their limit to produce quality stories that make coherent sense. And you watch the Star Wars series and they just seem like they're so hastily thrown together, so hastily rushed out there and then market tested. And then some CEO is like, what about Grogu? Baby Yoda's got to be in there. And you're like, well, that doesn't make sense for the story. He's got to be in there. All right, we'll shove him into like one random episode of a different series, and now he's back together. Okay, there you go. I'm worried that that's going to happen with this series. Russel T Davies has said, he's assured us that Disney had a few notes, but they mostly just left them alone to make these specials. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just where it starts. It's also worrisome what he said, that Disney had very few notes, not no notes. They had some notes, they had a hand in it. So that just worries me, because if they had a few notes on this, what's going to happen in future iterations? If and when the series becomes big and becomes popular and has wide appeal and becomes mainstream, are they going to continue to put more and more notes? Are they going to continue to think they know best, they know better? Because that seems to be their MO, is that they think they know better. I don't want that to happen to Doctor Who. I don't want that to happen to the series, the show that I've loved since I was a child. I don't mind if it changes. You know, everything changes. The series itself it's constantly changing. It's all about change. I have no problem with the show changing. I just don't want it to change into being bad, essentially. So that's my biggest fears. Those are my biggest fears about the Disney Plus thing. So, you know, that being said, I am super excited about this upcoming 60th anniversary. I think it's going to be really cool. I can't deny I am hyped about it. I do love David Tennant. He was one of my top 5 favorite doctors. I do love Donna Noble. She's my favorite modern companion of the series. I think the use of the Celestial Toymaker and Beep the Meep, I think these old classic elements, I think they're both really cool, appropriate elements for this special, and I'm excited about seeing it with more money and more freedom and back in the hands of Russel T Davies, who did some of the best writing for the series, and he seems really excited and passionate about it, so I want to see what he brings to the table again. Ncuti Gatwa, it seems like, I've never seen Sex Education, but in all the interviews and all the clips I've seen with him, he seems like a very bubbly, passionate, fun, high energy guy, and I'm excited about that. I think we could use another doctor who's a little more wild and funny. I love funny doctors, so he's given me really good vibes, so I'm excited about seeing him. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping this is going to be an amazing 60th anniversary. Yeah, so I think that's everything. I've blathered enough. I think that's everything I have to say about that. I'm still working on the Ark in Space review. I have not forgotten about my classic reviews. I've actually been working on that for a long time. I've had a lot of things going on in my life right now that's kind of made it harder for me to get that out quickly, but it is close. I'm really excited about it now that it's being close. I'm excited to show you guys. I think it's going to be a fun episode for sure. And in the future, I'm going to be doing I'm definitely going to do another one of those videos, especially if you guys like this video. I will most likely do another video that covers more modern Doctor Who. I'm going to talk about the upcoming Christmas special, or the holiday special, I should say, that's coming out around Christmas. And then when Ncuti's proper season, Series 14, Season 1, because of the weird renaming they've done. When his season comes out, I'm assuming next spring is when it's going to start, I will be doing weekly reviews of Ncuti Gatwa's episodes. So look forward to that as well. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. And Kay, signing off.